Okay everyone, welcome back to the channel for another video on Gran Turismo 7. We're back with the Suzuka race in Group 2 for the Nations Championship that we did a few days ago. So this was one of the most intense races I think I've had in a long time on Gran Turismo 7 for numerous reasons. So we're going to go straight into it. So this race required a pit stop. You had to go from the soft tyre to the medium tyre, or medium tyre to the soft tyre, depending on what tyre you started. I managed to qualify in P4 and I'm starting on the soft tyre. Now I was praying at this stage that no one in front of me would be on the mediums, but it's very likely that you might have that situation. So straight away we're going to give the tyres a little bit of a warm up just to get a bit of temperature in them, but we see that P3 really aggressively warms them tyres up. So that to me there was a possible hint that he could be on the medium tyres. So we need to get very close as quick as possible, because this opening lap when their tyres are not fully up to temperature is where the softs will really be able to take advantage. Now there was one big major problem with this combination. It does seem that following another car on this game in high downforce is even harder than it was on GT Sport. I think that leads probably because of the slipstream being at about 1.3 seconds and it gradually gets stronger the closer you get. So it almost makes it impossible to follow. I do think they need to make some slight alterations to how that is working, because in real life, we've all seen Group 2 cars, which are Super GT cars, and they can follow really closely. But we're going to go for a move now on P3. You can see we've got a massive tyre advantage at the start here, and we've got a lot more grip. So we've managed to get up the inside, do a nice little move there, and now we're up into P3. Now we've got Nick in front of us, who also, I'm noticing that I'm gaining on traction out of the corners, and I kind of knew straight away because I could see how much that B-Racer, or Gallo, a lot of people will know him as, is pulling away there in the lead, a previous Gran Turismo World Champion. So I'm thinking, at this stage, he's got to be, we know that B-Racer's on the soft tyres, and we're probably guessing that Nick is on the medium tyre. You can see out here, we're gaining on him through the corners. So this is going to be more difficult though, because Nick is a faster driver, a lot faster than the majority of people. So if he's on mediums, how well will the softs be able to catch him up and even try and get near him with this dirty air? So let's take a look as we go into the final chicane, and you can see we're about to pick up the slipstream, which it will help us on this straight. We'll get a bit of momentum on the straight when we're into that slip range. However, through the first sector, it's going to really hurt us once we start picking up that turbulent air. So going into turn 1, we're going to just see what happens here now. We've got a tiny bit of loss of error, although coming through here, we're not going to be picking up massive amounts. It's only going to be as we're getting into this stage now. You can see with 1.1 seconds, now we're picking it up, and it's going to start affecting us through the corners. And you can feel it instantly when you're driving. You can just feel that the front does not want to turn at all. And it is really annoying, because at this stage, we needed to get past Nick and really make these soft tyres work, because yeah, Nick's doing quite good pace on the mediums, but we definitely have, we've just caught up 3-4 attempts in a few corners. But now, as soon as we get into the turbulent air, we're dropping back again, and it's really frustrating. You can see through here, gaining massive amounts through there, 3 or 4 attempts, but again, look at the understeer as we come through there. So we're going to skip ahead to the end of lap 2, and we got quite close here. We managed to get within half a second of Nick, but again, trying to get on the power, car just does not want to give you the grip. It's really frustrating, and I was getting quite worried at this stage, because we can see behind us we've got the 2 cars that are on the mediums. We know that Oral's on the mediums, and we know the other German driver is also on the mediums, and at this stage we're thinking, right, we need to build the gap up, but at the moment we just can't. You can see I'm trying to do different lines to try and take tighter lines, but every time I do anything, the car either understeers or just doesn't want to turn, and it was getting a little bit worrying. But you know, this was quite intense, and it was quite enjoyable at the same time, because it's going to make the end of the race extremely interesting, because we are in front, and that's the benefit, and they're going to have the same situation, the cars behind me, when they come up behind us, hopefully, that they're going to find it very difficult to overtake. So we see on the replay camera, we're following fairly closely at this stage. Now, one thing on GT7 is tyre wear is a bit different to GT Sport. Soft tyres do not last anywhere near as long as the mediums, so they did get that bit right with this game. They definitely improved the way the tyres work in terms of the mediums are a stronger tyre over a longer period. The softs are really good for a few laps, but they do fade a little bit quicker. So even though this race wasn't a massively high tyre wear rate, you're not going to get a situation where people are doing like 13 laps on the soft tyres and 2 laps on the mediums, because it just doesn't work. The tyres fade massively on the soft tyres compared to the mediums. But again, you can see through here, we're dropping back. As soon as we're getting close, we drop back again, and that is the story of following someone. Even though Nick is on the medium tyres, now Nick is a faster driver. If Nick wasn't one of the fastest in the world, then possibly we might have been able to get a bit closer and put him under some pressure, but because he's so fast on their mediums, it was just a really difficult situation. As we skip ahead to lap 5, where I had pretty much decided just to get the little bit of fuel saving done that you kind of need to do in this race. So you do need to save a little bit of fuel. So I was using mixture 2 here because we can't get close enough to go for an overtake, so we might as well just try and do a bit of fuel saving so I can push a little bit more on the second stint. So that's what we're doing here, saving a little bit of fuel because I've got a bit of a lead over the cars behind. Now what I needed to keep an eye out on was when the other drivers are going to go for a pit stop. Are they going to go for a massive stint on the soft tyres and go for a big undercut? And what was more important was track position. So I was always focusing on the leaderboard on the left hand side with the players' names to see if anyone's going in the pits, because I was going to go in pretty much as early as I had, I had to stay in P3, because if we can stay in P3, they're going to find it hard to overtake with this horrible turbulent air on this track. And it does make me worry a little bit for like combinations where you got like Super Formula or Group 1. I do think that PD do need to lower it at least 50% in terms of how much it affects the car when you're following another car. The actual slipstream is really good. The power of the slipstream I think is pretty decent on GT7. It's just when you're following, it's just a bit too much. It's not very realistic. If anything, it's probably more extreme than way more extreme than in real life. So yeah, following through here, you see we're fast forwarding, and as we come to the straight, we're gonna have a little look behind it, because I'm looking to see if anyone's pitting, and I noticed that one car pitted, and we saw the Aura goes in the pit. So that was my cue that I'm gonna have to pit on this next lap and just do 6 laps on these soft tyres. And you can see now at this stage, after 6 laps, these soft tyres are starting to fade, and you can actually see that Nick is starting to pretty much match us. Every time we get close to that 1.3 second range anyway, we just get that horrible turbulent air and we drop back a bit. But they're still driving okay. They probably still have reasonable pace, but because we got a car in front of us, we just cannot use these. I would have probably done 7 laps on these soft tyres. Obviously, if we wouldn't have had Nick in the way, I think we'd have been a couple of seconds ahead of Nick where he is now, because the soft tyres were just that much faster. But yeah, we're about probably 3 to 4 seconds behind where we would have liked to have been if we had no one in front of us. But Nick obviously doesn't have any, he's doing the correct thing. He obviously needed to stay in front, because if he lets me through and then I hold him up, it ruins his race as well. So totally understand why Nick is trying his hardest to push them medium tyres and stay ahead. So we're going to go in the pits on lap 6, and now we need to make sure we come out ahead of any traffic, because we did know that there was a lot of traffic behind us. So as we come out the pits, we have a little look on the replay camera, and you can see as we're coming out, this is perfect timing, just ahead of Epic Toby, I think that is there, and we've got Aura behind that. So we've actually got a car in between us, and now we've got 1 lap fresher tyres than Aura, although he is on the soft tyres, but we're on the mediums that will get better. So the longer we can keep him behind, the easier it should be to actually keep his car behind us. So this is going to be a really interesting battle all the way to the finish now. Now, Aura obviously should be able to get past him pretty quickly, because Epic's on very warm mediums and Aura is on fresh soft tyres. And you can see there in our mirror, Aura has managed to get straight past there, and now he is right behind me. So this is going to be pretty intense. This is where we need to hold him off, because this early stage is so important to keep him behind. While his fresh tyres are in really good condition, and we're on medium tyres that have got 1.5 seconds in terms of lap time difference, this is where it's going to be important to really keep him out of that slipstream. But you can see he's fully in that slipstream now, getting a massive exit off there. However, he does get a bit of understeer on the exit of Spoon Corner, and now we're going to work our way, trying to break that slipstream down the straight and into 130R, and we need to make sure we're ahead into the braking zone before the chicane, so that he can't go for a dive up the inside. And you can see the extra grip that he's got in terms of them soft tyres. So as we go into the braking zone, we brake pretty much as late as we can, but just look how much he catches us up in the mirror. And again, the good thing is though, he's getting a little bit of that turbulent air, which again, you can see it affecting him on the power, and that's enabled us just to get the power down a little bit quicker, and we're able to get back over to the racing line, and we should be okay into turn 1. And then as we're going into turn 1, we're going to keep our eye on the mirror. Aura gets very, very close here and actually goes a little bit deep and completely misjudges it and has run wide through turn 1. That is a perfect situation for us, because he got obviously a little bit of turbulent air, couldn't keep the car on the track, and he looks like he's actually just been nearly overtaken by another car, and they're battling their way through the corners. He has managed to stay ahead, but he's 2.7 seconds behind now. So we're going to skip a little bit further ahead on the race on lap 9, and you can see now that he's about 1.4, so he's starting to catch back up. But the good news is, at this stage, he's took that really peak life out of the tyres, and if anything, from now on, it should be getting easier and easier every single lap to keep him behind. But it's going to be pretty intense. You can see 1.2 seconds. He's in that turbulent air. He's going to be struggling for grip through the corners. So this is where we need to take advantage. We need to make sure we make no mistakes at all on the fast flowing corners, and then on the straights just try and make sure he stays out of a range to send one up the inside. So again, keeping it nice and smooth through that corner there, very tricky to, you've got to avoid the curb, but you've got to try and keep it close to it. Managed to drive that quite well through this race, I must say, trying to avoid that curve, making sure we're keeping it nice and smooth. Into the hairpin, on the throttle nice and early, and working our way up into spoon corner. You can see he's well in that slipstream, about 6-7 tenths behind us or something like that there. You can see him in the mirror, and as we get closer to spoon corner again, he gets close, but then again on the exit he loses a little bit of time, and this is what is really important because he's losing time at the parts of the track where he needs to be getting close. So at the moment it's all looking okay. So again, through the final chicane onto the power, and we're going to work our way over the finishing line again, and you can see 7 tenths of a second gap to Aura. That's too far away for him to go for a move into turn 1. So again, we're looking pretty good at this stage. We're still in P3. The top two are pulling away because obviously our strategy got a little bit affected. Their strategies are working perfectly. Obviously, Gallo, soft tyres, no one in front of him. Nick, medium tyres, no one in front of him. It's all working out perfectly for them. But for myself and Aura, we both got a little bit messed up because I obviously got my first thing completely messed up, had to pit early. But at the moment, it's working out that what we did was we pitted lap 6, took a risk, hoping that Aura would not be able to get past in this horrible turbulent air. You can see it's absolutely struggling to follow any other car. And again, I do think that they do need to make some alterations. Hopefully in the future they can just take about 50% at least. I really think it needs at least 50% of that turbulent air taking off and just give us some of that grip back so we can actually follow. Because in reality, if you've got a car on soft tyres versus medium tyres, I think that soft tyre car would be all over the rear of the other car, especially in Super GT, for example, them type of cars. So yeah, following our way up into spoon corner now. You can see again he's getting close, but again he's only 3/4 of a second behind. He's not actually getting close enough to go for a move. So by the end of here, he's about half a second into the braking zone. But again, as soon as we get into spoon corner, again on the throttle, holding it tight to apex, on the front, you can just see the front end of his car is just washing off, and he just cannot find the grip. This was super intense, I have to say. When we were live, this was such an intense race because I knew that the strategy that I was on really shouldn't work because we obviously got held up on the soft tyres and we pitted super early onto the medium tyres. But what we did know was the longer it goes, like I say, the medium tyres are going to get stronger versus them soft tyres. But we also had to factor in there's other cars coming up from behind now, obviously, where Aura's getting held up. There's cars that started obviously further back that pitted later and are on much fresher soft tyres that are going to really catch up towards the end here. So we go over the line, and again, we're on lap 11 now, and again, Aura is just struggling to get anywhere near. You can see every time we go into a braking zone, it gets pretty close, but then as soon as we get into the first sector or the fast flowing corners at any point on the track, there's just no following on this game at the moment in Group 2. And like I say, I can only imagine how bad the Super Formula will be, or the Group 1 cars will be. They will be just as bad, if not worse, than these cars for trying to follow another car. So it's going to be very interesting when we have our first ever Group 1 race or Super Formula race. I think we've got Super Formula at Spa on the weekend for the Toyota Cup. That is really going to show us how bad the situation is. Now, them cars do have a boost so that you can actually give more fuel into the engine to give a bit more power, and it actually does give an opportunity to get some overtakes done. It'll be very tactical, that race, about how you use that boost. Track position, though, again, will be super important in them cars, but there is a better opportunity at that track with the obviously massive slipstream range that you get off after turn 1 through the hairpin. It's going to be interesting if you're going to be able to get an overtake done on that straight, but this obviously is pretty much impossible at the moment. You can see it's just not long enough straights for anyone to really get a run, and if they could get within 2-3 tenths, then possibly, but at the moment they're just getting stuck. I found the same. As soon as you get to 6-7 tenths, the car just does not want to give you any grip at all. So into the final chicane, fast forward in there again, you can see in the mirror, he gets quite close here. We hit the curb. Now, I think it's through here. We get on the power nice and early, get a bit on the curb there. Now, we lose a little bit of time, but we manage to keep the power down reasonably well. You can see the gap at around 4 tenths, 5 tenths of a second. And we watch that replay camera. You can see behind us now, we've got another car joining this battle that is on, I think he's on 2 lap fresher tyres than Aura. So he's on 1 lap fresher tyres than me, I think. At least 1 lap fresher tyres than what I'm on. And I'm on, obviously, the mediums. He's on soft tyres. So his grip is insane compared to us. You can see him all over Aura there. Just look at the grip that he's got. He's able to follow Aura a lot better because his tyres are so fresh. And obviously, Aura's getting my slipstream, which is affecting his grip. So he's actually got quite an equal amount of grip to Aura, but he's got the fresher tyres, which is giving him that grip to go through the corners and really push him. You can see just how close he is to Aura there. Now, this is perfect for me at this stage because this gives me a bit of breathing space, and it does look like Aura is starting to fade a little bit at this stage because his tyres are dropping off. He's struggling with the grip, and this is just helping me out massively. So again, we're going to skip ahead now to the end of lap 12, and now this, I think we made a little bit of an error here. So as we come into the chicane, we get on the power and our rear tyres just go all loose there, and luckily we got off the throttle and managed to save it. However, look in our mirror, just look how close Aura is to us now. So I go to the left hand side track because I see that someone's going to go up the inside, and I'd rather keep Aura behind me than the guy on the fresh soft tyres because that's going to be a lot harder to defend from. But Aura goes wide, runs himself off the track, and now we have got Jones on much fresher soft tyres. So we thought we'd done the job now with Aura and held him off. Now we've got a car with a lot fresher tyres than what I've got on, and he's on the faster tyre. So again, we've got another few laps of just trying to hold on to this final podium position and some very good points in this Nations race. And I have to say, although this is only a test season, I don't think I've ever been as sweaty in a race as this. This was proper intense stuff. We've got someone pushing us there. We know that we've got the advantage of clean air, but we've also got very old tyres ourselves. You know, these medium tyres, look on the telemetry, they are fading. We pitted on lap 6. I think Jones pitted either lap 7 or lap 8 onto soft tyres. I'm not sure which way he did it, probably lap 7. But he's on much fresher soft tyres there, and he's got so much more grip than what we've got. This is going to be a really difficult task to try and hold him off. We've got 2 and a bit laps to do it. Can we manage to keep him behind? So again, into Spoon Corner again. Let's see what happens as we go through here. You can see though, even though he's on much fresher tyres, still he just cannot get close. As soon as he gets onto Spoon Corner, look at the car washing off on the exit. Again, we gain a few temps, and that gives us the ability to get into the braking zone and just be a little bit ahead. But look in the braking, how much more actual downforce he's got. Well, not downforce, more traction he's got. You can see he gains quite a bit in the chicane, but again, as soon as we get on the power, he struggles to put the power down, and then as soon as we get into the fast corners, he just cannot live with this car through the fast corners because obviously he's getting too much wash off on the front end. So again, keep your eye on the mirror. As we go into turn 1, he's able to take the speed into the corner, and he's able to take a much tighter line, but then as soon as he gets into my slipstream, boom, he just gets no grip at all. And this is why we went for this strategy, because I knew it was the only way we could do it, because obviously Nick, we obviously got held up behind Nick on that first stint with the soft tyres. So this was the only way we could get around the strategy, by pitting early and praying that this turbulent air would ruin everyone else's races. And at the moment, it's doing just that, and we're holding on to P3. We've got just over 1.5 laps to go now in this race. Are we going to be able to hold on to this position? So again, into the right hand, and again into the second right hand corner, going under the bridge, doing it quite well actually. We did that quite well on this lap, and then into the hairpin, making sure that he can't get close enough to go for a move into this hairpin, because this is another overtaking opportunity if someone gets close enough. But again, he's just not able to find the grip. It's almost like his tyres are starting to fade off now. You can see in the mirror, it does look like them tyres are starting to drop off a little bit. So we're going to fast forward through here, through Spoon Corner, and again, just trying to get that solid exit and then working our way into the final chicane. And you can see we've got 1 lap to go now. So is he going to be able to take it close? You can see on the brakes, he's very late there. We're trying to take it smooth through here, trying to get on the power. We've got 1 lap to try and hold him off. So again, this is going to be a super, super intense final lap on Gran Turismo 7. So again, we're going to the right-hand side of the track, then over to the left-hand side, just trying to break that slipstream so he doesn't get too close in the braking zone. It looks like we've got enough of a gap. Now, going into turn 1, we're going to have to save some fuel. We knew our fuel was getting a bit low, but as we go in here, we brake a little bit too late, pushing a bit too much. He's going to have the inside. We're going to have to go back into fuel mixture 1. We've got the inside, though, into this corner. He's going to have to back off there. And now we've just got to hope that we can hold him off for these final few corners. Now, again, he's getting that turbulent air. Will we be able to keep him behind? Look how close he is through here. Again, we're trying to keep this car smooth. Our tyres are fading massively on these mediums also. And we're just trying to keep the car on the track and try and keep the car facing the right way and ahead of him. We need to get that gap over 3-4 temps really. If we can keep it over 3-4 temps, around half a second if anything, that should be enough to hold him off all the way to the finishing line. So again, into the hairpin, you can see he's not close enough to go for a dive here. You can see he's just a little bit too far back. And now we need to make sure we get a good solid exit off this hairpin. You can see he's getting very close. He's got really good traction off of that corner, obviously on them soft tyres. And again, he's around 3 temps behind us. Will he be able to go for a move into this left-hand corner, into Spoon Corner? I'm not sure he's going to be able to. So we're in mixture 2, into mixture 3 through here because we need to save some fuel. and we're just trying to make sure that we can push on this straight, because this is where he's going to get close. So as soon as we get close to the apex, we're going to try and keep it nice and tight. You can see the wash off on his front end there, massive amount of loss of grip there, and we're into mixture 1, and now we can actually short shift a little bit on this straight to try and save that fuel that we need. You can see he's getting very, very close. So we're going to mixture 2. We're going to probably have to go back to mixture 1, which we do. This is all trying to balance the fuel and keep him behind at the same time. So again, into the chicane, trying to make sure we get a good solid there. He's not close enough to go for a move there, and this should be good enough. And now as we look in the mirror there, you can see he's actually run out of fuel. Jones has run out of fuel there, and we're going to take that podium. What an intense battle on Gran Turismo 7. One of the most intense races I have ever had on this game, and some very, very nice points. Race pace was rubbish because obviously our strategies were totally ruined, but yeah, I don't really care about that. What I care about is taking a P3 podium position, and we take, I think it was 370 or something. Let's have a little look how many points we picked up from that race. So yeah, let's go to the menu and see what we actually got. And you can see there we managed to get 374 points, which is a really nice points haul from this race. And we actually got, you know, we made that strategy work. So yeah, if you did enjoy this video, subscribe to the channel, hit that like button, and let me know in the comment section how you got on and if you enjoyed this race. Thanks again for watching, everyone.